All right, last section, and this one's on records management. And I know records management can be boring, but this one isn't going to be. So what is records management? Records management is about managing the records that your business needs to manage to continue to meet its legal and regulatory obligations. Well, what's a record? A record individually is evidence of an activity or transaction that was performed by the organization. They should be immutable, non-changeable. They should be tightly controlled, and they should be able to be audited. So let's take a look at an example. So is this fact or fiction? Well, there is actually a Russell House Tavern. It is in Harvard Square. Is this photo in Harvard Square? Was it the Russell House Tavern? I don't know. I can tell you the back of this card is signed with lots of people who've attested to the fact that they saw the Russell House Tavern. And I know that because I had this card signed. But it doesn't mean it's any more fact or fiction. It's just signatures. When we're talking about records management, we're talking about what information should be classified as a record. So what is it? How they should be created. So who does it? How does the process go? When the records can be archived or destroyed. So every record in a system should be thrown away, and that's going to be because of e-discovery, and we'll cover that in a minute. And we should be who can access the records. Now, generally, who can access the records is pretty open, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's more restricted. So record management needs content analysis. Hey, wait a minute. That was something we had to do in our information architecture. That's why this is here. It's because it's very tightly controlled. File plans. Realistically, file plans are the types of content and the retention policy. So how long you keep them. It's effectively the work that we do in an information architecture to figure out the different kinds of files. The compliance requirements drive the time that you hold on to the document, so the length of time. Audit allows you to verify that you are getting the records you need. Disposition schedules, again, are when we destroy them. And then we have these two topics, e-discovery and e-hold, which we'll talk about in a second. The challenges for RM projects, for records management project, is really helping people to understand that this is the business record. Just because there's a file doesn't mean that it proves that something happened. When we say that we have a contract as a record, what we're really saying is that we have a record that documents that both parties accepted the contract. Not so much that what the contract says. That creates a level of confusion. We struggle sometimes to say, when does a document become a record? Well, it becomes more clear when you say it's the proof. So when the contract is signed, it becomes a record. And then there's sometimes a question about where should you keep them? Should you keep them in a separate place? Should they be in a file cabinet? I like electronic because they can be destroyed at the right time, but most folks struggle with not having paper around. Well, that's changing it. So what's a hold? A hold is preventing the destruction of a document because there might be some legal action or something. It is that preservation for legal or audit purposes, and it keeps the content from being changed. And is mostly used in pending legal litigation, and mostly just because of an e-discovery. So what's e-discovery? E-discovery is the discovery of electronic content for legal or audit purposes, which means that somebody has said, hey, look, anything that has the word FUBAR in it, we need to look at because we want to make sure it's being used right. The trick is that you're going through the entire corpus, the entire wealth of information in the organization, and gathering all that stuff up so somebody can review it. This is all of the documents, and it can be all of the items, which is why we are covering this after social. It could absolutely be all the social things, even if they're not a document. Records management isn't that complicated, but it's something that people struggle with because it is that proof of the activity. So this ends not only this module, but the course as well. And it was a quick summary of knowledge management, social, and records management, and how they fit into the overall picture of your information architecture and what you do about it. Thanks for learning.